let's get into the dollar, which is looking semi-bullish this morning. I was talking yesterday about I'm still very much looking to buy the dollar, but I want to see a little bit more downside, or at least aggressive reaction at this area, because in fairness, we are testing some resistance turn support, which so far is holding, but I'm not quite convinced yet, especially because of how aggressive we were on Friday after NFP. So possibly we might turn bullish from here. I said yesterday I'm looking more so towards this area. If I see some healthy rejection here, maybe if we can get some more wicks or a bigger close on the 4-hour chart, maybe I might have a stab at this area if things look good. If not, I'll wait to see if pricing have that deeper reaction. The only reason why I'm looking for the deeper pullback is because of how aggressive we were on the Friday. Typically, with my pullbacks, I want them to be slow, corrective. It doesn't have to be perfectly slow or perfectly corrective, but I just don't want it to be too impulsive. And if it is impulsive, then normally I look for deeper correction. So that's the situation I'm in for the dollar. Really aggressive push down. We have started to slow down and start to move sideways, which is a sign that support is holding, but still not quite convinced yet until I see momentum. Or if we can put some more wicks to the downside, maybe a couple fake outs, that would be nice. Yeah, so if things do develop well, maybe if I see a strong close, I might be interested into a buy. It really just depends how the candles form and set up. So that's something I'll decide in the moment, but it is a potential area which we're holding. I would still prefer price to bounce from here, because at that point we'll probably have a much slower corrective pullback at that stage. So things will look naturally a lot healthier. But we'll see if we get there or not. At the moment, we are respecting an area. Of course, we've got the bullish structure in play, which is the low here to the high to the low to the new high, which of course broke through the highs here on the left. And now that's the new structure I'm looking to follow. Look to follow this bullish structure, simply looking for the next pullback and some more upside, whether from this area or this area is yet to be seen. But that's very much the idea I have for the dollar. So still bullish. Long term, I'm still kind of undecided. Higher time frames still look pretty bearish to me. We did see a lot of wick rejection in the last previous weekly candle. So I'm not too sure about a big move, especially with resistance lurking just above us. There's a lot of resistance in this area. Previously support, of course. Now turn resistance around 100, 101. So I'm not too sure if the market does get back above that area. Therefore, I'm kind of just keeping it a little bit more short term with my bias and my analysis. But at least for this week anyway, I do like the buys, and I'm looking to see if price can push back to highs there, or just at least a bounce, and we'll see how far we can take the market. But definitely looking for buys for the dollar. EURUSD looking for sells, and it's literally the same situation, just inverted. We had a very aggressive retracement off the back of NFP, so that's kind of put me off looking to jump in straight away into some shorts. Originally, I was looking for the retest of this level. I said on Thursday, I believe, actually on Friday as well, before we had NFP, that I was looking for the retest of this level here. But then, of course, NFP came in really aggressively, and that's kind of put me off the trade a little bit. But things can develop well. We're starting to get some momentum, but I would say nothing convincing, especially taking into consideration how aggressive we were into the level. If it was slow and corrective, I may already be in the trade by now, but because of how aggressive it was, that does put me off. So maybe things can develop here a little bit more. Maybe a bit of a double top forms, bit of a wick, that would be nice. That could convince me into a trade. I'll keep an eye on the DXY to see how that forms at the support level we're trading at now. If not, as I mentioned yesterday, I still very much like the looks of this consolidation. It's away from the noise, pretty deep retracement. If we were to get there, we would probably become a lot more corrective, and that would tick my boxes very well. Then I'll happily get into some shorts and see how far we can take it. So again, Euro, couple of areas to keep an eye on. I'm still not quite convinced of this area just because of how aggressive we've been. That could change if things improve. And again, if we do fall, then we do fall without me. I'm not here to take every trade, just the better ones with which tick my box as well. And retracement, a healthy retracement is one of them. So being patient with Euro, still very bearish, so I know exactly what I'm looking to do, which is short the market. A couple of areas to keep an eye on. I want to see some more rejection here before I do jump in myself. If not, then I'll look for a push into 1.17. But yeah, I'm very much looking to sell Euro USD this week. Pound USD, same situation as well, but I would say Pound USD looks a lot better because we've had some lovely momentum. No really aggressive shift in momentum. Yes, we did see this 4-hour candle, but it wasn't as aggressive as Euro. To me, it looks a lot healthier. So I'm still keeping a close eye on the retest of this level, which was kind of the neckline of the head and shoulder pattern. So you got the left over there, you got your head over there, and you got your right shoulder over there, and of course price smash through the neckline. So very textbook in terms of the pattern, really. Now the plan is, can we find the next lower high and can we keep shorting this? And that would be the expectation going into the rest of the week. At the moment, not really trading at any area of significance for me, so I'm not getting excited just yet. I'm looking to the left. There's nothing really there that does interest me. So I'm looking for at least a push into 1.337, near enough 1.34, before I become interested in the price action for pound. But as I said, the idea is just basically looking for the next lower high and keep looking to short it. So same idea as Euro, just I like the price action of pound a little bit more just because it's a bit more cleaner, especially the retracement isn't too aggressive. So I quite like what I'm seeing, but let's wait to see if we can get to that level first before we do get the short. Dollar CAD's interesting. We are still respecting daily support. We have picked up some momentum, but yeah, I'm not quite convinced just because of how aggressive the retracement is. It has put me off, to be honest. But I said this is a very crucial area for dollar CAD because essentially this is the high of the range we've been having for the past few days, few weeks, back and forth, back and forth. Then eventually we did break to the upside. So now we can just focus pretty much on this level. So if we can stay above this, I do fancy a bit of a rally. There's a big level of resistance just above our heads in this area, around 1.39. So I'm not looking for anything crazy for dollar CAD, but at least a push back to the highs is what I'm favoring. Now we have picked up momentum, but again, because it was so aggressive, that 4-hour candle, I kind of want to see maybe a bit of a double bottom form. Maybe some more wicks before I do enter any trades. I'm not quite convinced on the DXY just yet, so I am kind of holding back from jumping into any dollar trades. Dollar CAD's not my favorite dollar pair either. It's not really a pair I'm focusing on too much. I said the three that I like was Euro, Pound, and Aussie. So dollar CAD looks good, but I would rather kind of more development here before jumping into some buys. Again, that was a very aggressive bearish candle on the way down, but the key thing is, as long as we stay above support, I would say the trade is still valid. If price was to break through, then of course I would probably ditch the buys, because at that point this would turn into a big fake out and we might be seeing something like that happen. So I do not want to see dollar CAD break below 1.376. As long as we can hold that, I am fancying a push back into the highs. So that is very much the plan there with dollar CAD. Now with Aussie dollar, a pair which I like a little bit more, is looking a tad bearish, but I don't mind that because it might be a situation where we're looking a little bit bearish, sucking in some sellers into the trade. Then you're going to see another rally to take them out, take liquidity, and then we see the rollover. That would be a nice setup actually for Aussie dollar. But we've had a lovely breakout of this ascending channel, which has made me very bearish, and I'm looking for a lot more downside off the back of that. My targets is back at the low here, around 0.635. So that's what I'm expecting price to get to at the very least. Dropping to the 4-hour chart, I've been talking about a retest of this area of supply, which would be nice. This is where we had that brief kind of support on the low of the trend line before we did break through very, very well. So as I was saying, we've got kind of these early selling opportunities here. I never really want to be in the market first anyway. So if we can go and sweep, then that would be nice. Show some more rejection. That can end up being a really nice short opportunity back into lows, maybe into that daily target as well. But the key thing with Aussie, as long as we don't break back within the range, I'm happy. I'm looking to short the market. If we do break back within the channel, within the range, then it gets a bit awkward. But for now, it's a solid break. Really nice candle there last Wednesday. I don't see price breaking back in, at least not likely anyway. So yeah, expecting us to roll over back into those lows, and hopefully you can find some nice short opportunities around the 0.65 area. New Zealand dollar is probably my least favorite USD pair. Just not a big fan of it at all. And kind of look at this as a big consolidation really. So yeah, not the biggest fan. I've been talking about this ascending channel here. It's a very slight one, but again, nothing to get overly excited about. New Zealand Aussie dollar is giving us a very similar setup with a similar ascending channel. The breakout's a lot cleaner, the opportunity's a lot cleaner there. So I'd rather just focus with that market instead of New Zealand dollar. They're very similar anyway, so no point to trade them both. But again, naturally with a break of an ascending channel, I do expect to see a bit of a bearish trend form. So I'm pretty bearish on New Zealand dollar as well. Just not a big fan of the setup really, because when we short the market, we do have support right, to our left there, which we're coming into. So there's not a lot of room to trade with, and not room to bet on a continuation. Sure, we could break through, but we might not. I'd rather trade Aussie, which I've got a bit more room to play with, and naturally will give me a better risk reward. So for those reasons, I'm kind of staying away from New Zealand dollar. A lot of support, very, very messy market. We've had a big fall already. I mean, I still do fancy more downside. As long as we don't break back within the channel, I still like it. But like I said, Aussie's a very similar market. I'd rather just put my eggs in that basket there, or any other USD pair for that matter, really. So expecting more downside. Again, just want us to stay below the channel. Don't want to see us break back in. And then from there, I do favor us to keep falling. In terms of gold, so gold I've been pretty neutral on. I highlighted a couple of areas where gold can sell off this week. Of course, we've got the high of the range, which is up here around 34.40, or just shy of that, 34.30. Then we've got two kind of significant areas of support. This is really kind of the low of the range, really. 32.50, 32.60, I would say. Then you've also got support down here, which I've been talking about as a nice place for a bounce as well. So coming into the week, I mentioned a couple of areas where gold could sell off from. I was talking about this area being one and that area being two. This area being the better place to short because it's at the extreme of the range. If price was to break through that, we'd probably have a breakout, so you can kind of be a bit more confident with the shorts there. This is a bit more like an intermediate target. It's not as significant, it's kind of within the range, but still an area which price has shown a lot of respect to in the past as well. And at the moment, we are struggling to break through as well. So I did say last weekend on the weekly analysis that if you do try and have a stab here, I wouldn't try and look for a big swing trade. It's more like a reaction maybe for a day or two, just because we're not situated at a place where I would say, okay, I'll be happy to sit in a trade here for a few days, because I'm not expecting price to go higher. I can very much see price going higher back to this level. This is an area which I'll be more confident to sit in for a few days, because every time price gets there so far, we've seen very successful reactions and big swings. So I can bet on that happening again. This area, not so much. So a couple of areas to keep an eye on: 33.70 and 33.40 in terms of the shorting opportunities. I just see the market as a ranging market, so I'm not really trying to do anything. I'm sure there'll be opportunities intraday to try and take advantage of momentum. But from a swing perspective, it's a very choppy market. So the idea is sell high and buy low. I've been talking about buying from this level and this level for the past few weeks. Very, very close to getting a buy here. Just kind of missed the level, unfortunately. So I didn't get into a buy there. But if we can return, I wouldn't mind having another opportunity, another stab at it. So yeah, that's very much where I'm at on gold. Just looking to pinpoint the significant areas, the significant turning points, and just selling high and buying low. And that's all I would do in a ranging market. And in terms of silver, which is starting to become a bit more flat, but I still like the buys long term. I'm still keeping a close eye on this level over here. This is still where I want to position myself long for silver. Lovely breakout when we had it. No prior retest. I'd love to see if we can get retest of that area for a buy. At the moment, though, we are testing some consolidation to our left. We're having a bit of a reaction for it, but I'm not quite convinced, to be honest. This is a very aggressive sell-off, and for me, this is a pretty corrective up move. So the way I see it, I think there's a good chance that the market does put a lower high in, and we do see another drop there for silver, either from 37.64 or 37.8. Either one of those areas, I'm looking for us to return back into the low. I'm not quite convinced that silver is just going to have a a big continuation back to highs and so on and so forth, because we had a really aggressive rally. We've tried to see that again, but completely failed. And we've had a really aggressive push back down. So this is not like a healthy pullback and continuation pattern. Of course, the market can do whatever the market wants to do. But as a trader, we've got to deal with probability. And a move like this doesn't really represent pullback to me. It represents more kind of potentially a top for silver, or at least maybe a bit of a counter bearish trend could form. So with the aggressive nature of this bearish move, I am looking for a lower high in one of these two areas for a push, at least back to support. Again, long term, I'm still very bullish. And as I just mentioned, I'd love to get into some longs around these areas here, 34.5. But I'm not quite convinced that buying at current price, especially with how we've been moving. So yeah, before I buy, I probably would wait for a push here unless we get some crazy recovery.